This week I picked up a 22 Lexus GX460 and I will be installing an Escort Redline radar detector in it today. The process would be the same for pretty much any radar detector. I will be wiring it up into the overhead instead of the fuse box, and I will be using the mirror connector for my source. One thing I've discovered is across the Lexus line, removing the trim panels is pretty much the same, at least for the ES, the RCF, which I assume would also be the RC, and now the GX. For doing something like this, although it's not really mandatory, it's nice having a set of trim panel tools. This is a basic set. I think I paid about $8 for it on Amazon. I also have another set that has a bigger variety, but this was more than adequate. On a couple of the previous cars I've done this on, I could have just removed it with my fingers, but this seemed to be snugger on the GX, and I did need the tool to pop the trim. I will be using a mirror mount for the Redline. It's a neat little adapter. It clamps to the stem of the mirror and has a articulating cantilever that allows you to adjust it to however you like under the mirror, and then you can tighten it all down nice and securely. Very nice device. There is also another device similar to this called the blend mount. I've used that too. It's rather nice, but also more expensive than the mirror mount. I also used a radar mount wire adapter. You order it with the connector for your specific radar detector. It has pin connectors on one end that will be pushed into the connector for the mirror, as you'll see in a couple minutes. Very nice little device. That pretty much is all you're going to need as far as parts go. Although, if you want to double check things, it doesn't hurt to have a VOM around and a couple hand tools like pliers or whatnot, but you're really not going to need them. So now we'll get on with it. This is the trim piece that is sitting on the window just behind the mirror. It is composed of two pieces. As you can see in the picture, there's a small center section and then the larger section. When you pop the center section, the bigger section will simply slide down the window and can be removed. Now, removing that center section, you will have to get a trim piece up between that edge on the end and the roof liner. If you take a look with the red circle, the retaining clip there is straight. It will pop straight down. If you try to remove it from the opening, you can see the retaining piece there has a right angle bend, and if you try to pop it from there, you may very well break that connector or retainer. Here I have the little center trim piece removed and isolated. You can see how those lower tabs stick back to retain the lower panel. So do it from the top of the trim piece, not from the hole. And here is the lower trim piece. On either side, you can see there are two slide-in connectors. These slide pretty much straight into the base plate and secure it in. The smaller centerpiece, which is not in this picture, then locks everything in place. The final trim piece to remove is the little retainer that holds the wires in place against the mirror stalk. This just pops right off, and when you're done, pops right back on. Once you get the trim piece off, you will be looking at 3 connectors up there. I am using the one on the right, which I believe is the mirror connector. The one in the middle, I believe, goes to the GPS and rain sensor. And I am not sure what the one on the left goes to, but it does not provide power. Here's a close-up of the connector on the right. The green wire is the ground, and the black lead is connected to that. And the blue wire was the ignition-controlled hot wire, and the red connector goes to that. They simply push into the back of the connector to make contact. Very simple. Just don't press too hard so you don't break them. We are checking the wiring on a Lexus GX460 to get a Escort Redline functioning. So the wiring's in. Let's see if we got it right. It should start up with the ignition. And there we go. So we got the wiring right, and that's good. The ground is the green wire on the top, as you saw in the connector, and the hot is the blue wire at the other end of the connector below it. The mirror mount is now in position, the trim's back in place, the radar detector is working. As you can see, the mount is very nicely constructed. You can hinge it just about any way you want to position it, however you like, under the mirror. It is very easy to adjust and stays in place. I've been using them for a while, and they're very dependable. And from the driver's position, you can see it's mounted, functioning. Everything went very smoothly. So if you try it, good luck. This can be done with any radar detector you want. You just have to remember to get a cord with the proper termination on it for the detector, and you have to get a mirror mount or blend mount, whichever your car will handle, that has the proper retainer for the detector.